This is going to be the new belt guide for that mower, for the Mud Mower. But, you know, something else has been on my mind since last night. Something's weird. Like, I feel like something's been watching me, and I ain't got no privacy. It's the Kohler! Let's go get it! It was right here! Did you see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
I saw it. It was looking at us in the window. All right. We got to come up with a plan to get this thing. So, I got an idea. What we'll do is, we'll make a decoy of myself, and I'll rig up the ground around that thing. With so much explosive, we'll send that Kohler to the moon. What do you think about that?
All right.
Let's go get it done.
2 hours later.
All right. Great job, guys. This thing looks just like me. So I got enough explosives in the ground, and when that old Kohler motor shows up, we're gonna set it off. You all ready?
All right.
Let's go hide. All right, guys. It just showed up. Look over there. It's sitting there right next to the TNT. Cole, on the count of 3, I need you to blow that button up. 1, 2, 3. Hit it! That was sick. Oh yeah, we got it! Yeah! Oh yeah, look at that! Look what I did there! Oh my god, look! We blew its face off!
Yeah. Yeah. What are you doing now, Dad?
Tractor, let's dig a hole and get it in the ground.
All right.
That'll teach you. All right, guys, let's get this thing backfilled. Bury this thing forever.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah, we sure fooled them.
What's going on, everybody? My name is Jason, and this is Tennessee Mountain Homestead Channel. Today we're back out in the shop, and I'm going to be working on the old John Deere 214 Mud Mower again. And as advertised on the last video, we're going to be putting the belt guide back in this thing today. So stay tuned, let's get into it. Before we start on the belt guide, I wanted to show y'all one more thing that I did since last time. Okay, so last time, you know, we got the clutch mechanism installed. And it was okay. It needed a lot of work. It needed a lot of reinforcing. So what I did, I completely redid it. It's the same exact principle and design as I had before. Not too complicated. Only this time, I used 3/4 inch rod, pillow block bearings, so it wasn't metal on metal. I used a piece of C channel. One side's a little longer than the other. It's some steel I had. It's 1/4 inch thick, but that's the base. And it's all welded out down there. The lever arm for the tensioner pulley, as you can see, is reinforced and welded out. And I also added another idler pulley here by the transmission pulley to give it about, I don't know, that looks like a lot more than 180 degrees of wrap. So I thought I'd add that in there because it was probably less than 180 before. So there you see the clutch mechanism. And it still isn't done. I need to reinforce it off the frame on top to support it here, because it still moves a tiny bit when you actuate it. Oh, and I switched out this linkage from just a regular lawnmower linkage. This is 3/8 24 rod with Heim joints. as you can see down in there, and then right here on this lever. The original clutch pedal. Oh, another thing that's cool is I got the original the original clutch lockout. So when you push the clutch, you disengage the clutch all the way, take tension off the belt. You can use this lever right here, and you can lock this mechanism right here. It swings down, and it'll hold the clutch, so it's locked out, and there's no tension on the belt. I had to do a little bit of re-engineering because what used to hold, this is the rod for that mechanism, and as you can see, it goes up right here. This, I don't throw anything away, so all the stuff I stripped off this tractor, this here was one of the original brackets that held this rod for the parking brake, or for the clutch thing there. Anyway, I found that, put it back. I had to drill through this rod, sorry, and as you can see, I put a cotter pin there, and I had to put another cotter pin up here so that the lever that you grab and manipulate, so it couldn't, because it wanted to come off and get bound up right in here. Whatever. It's all tightened up because there was some more stuff in here before that I cut out of here that held this in place and held it captive. Anyway, that's what's going on. And here's my my spring setup. This is still the original spring. I don't know what it came off of under here. I think it was the tensioner pulley, but I moved it back here. It's on the arm, as you can see. It's connected right to the tensioner pulley arm. That spring, if you can see it in there, it's tough. But I welded this piece of angle across here, and I put an eye bolt right there. And that's what's keeping tension on the system. So I could engineer this thing till I'm blue in the face, you know, but until I actually get it running and start, testing it out, I think I'm going to go with this for now until I can test it, and then make more modifications in the future, because I'm going to over-engineer it before I ever even get on this thing and ride it. So anyways, that's where we're at with the clutch pulley setup. We're going to get back to the belt guides. We got to completely fabricate that whole setup. So bear with me in a moment. I'll be back. All right, so the first order of business with this belt guide is I'm going to attack the top one first. And I want to build the top one first on this side because they're going to be like temporary permanent. So I don't want to build the lower one and then have to like reach around it and try to weld around it or whatever, or drill around it, because it'll be in the way. So this top side is going to be first. But also the first order of business is going to be this right here. Come here, Stephen, look. So this cross member right here that holds our engine plate, this was a factory cross member. The belt is about 1/8 of an inch off of it. It doesn't touch when it's tight. But with our guide there, the guide will be rubbing on the belt the whole time. So what I'm going to do is take this here file, take this here belt off, and we're going to slowly file away material about as wide as that file, so that our belt guide will fit. It'll give it some relief, so we can have our clearance between the belt guide and the belt. We'll be back. I'm filing away on this thing, and I'm not making any progress because the file just wants to go all over the place. I'm trying to establish a groove so I can start actually getting it going. It is giving me a good pump though. Anyway, I came up with this great idea right here. So the tape represents, I had the belt tight before I took the pulley off in the belt to get it out of the way. This piece of tape right here represents the center of the pulley. And I put these two hose clamps on here so I could get a guide for my file, so that way I can I can sit here and file away on this thing and it's not going to slip left and right. And you ask yourself, why doesn't he just use power tools to do it? Well, I don't want to take a grinder at this thing and make all kinds of grooves and make it all sloppy. I want it to be nice and flat and straight and smooth. So I'm going to take it down a little bit by hand. I got to get about 1/8 of an inch out of it. And so I think that this is the way to go. More in a minute.
You're on.
That was about an hour worth of filing. And I just got to say, Devin Larrett, if you're listening, if you're looking for a forearm routine, go ahead and file on some steel. Anyway, check this out. I filed into the inside radius of the pipe. It's about an 1/8 inch wall, maybe a little thicker, but that should give us our clearance. And then once the belt guide is there, it's 1/8 inch flat stock. I'll put a bead around this side, and on this side it'll give it the strength back. So anyways, we'll be back. Now that we've got that cross member clearance for our track for our belt guide in the future for when we do the bottom one, I'm going to start making the top one. Here I've got this old, it's not old, it's another 7-inch pulley that came in the mail after I bought that other one. So what I'm going to do is take some of this 1/8 inch bar stock, I'm going to tack weld it to the top of this table, and then we're going to heat this bar stock up and bend it around this pulley. And that'll be about 1/8 of an inch. Once that's established, we're going to take another bar stock and we're going to bend it around that. We'll see how this goes. This is theoretical. I've never done this before. So we're going to try that approach and see if that'll work out for us, because the second one is the one that's going to go around the pulley and just give it about 1/8 of an inch play around the whole thing. So we'll be back in a minute. All right, come on in here and take a look. So this is what we got going on. That's good. I think we're making progress. We're working on the outside one. As you can see, I have a smorgasbord of vice grips going around this, and I'm using a lot of heat and a lot of tappity tap tap tapping. So hopefully when we take all this apart, it keeps its shape, kind of. We'll play with it more. So come on in here, get a close-up view of what's going on here. See how it comes off here? More in a minute. The boys and I have been working on this belt guide for quite some time now. I even had to run to the hardware store to get some 7/16 bolts for this engine plate cover. Anyway, this is what we came up with. Get in here. 1/8 inch, 90-degree brackets. We use it to self-jig this, and this came out rather nice. So far it's coming out mint, 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 mint. Here's the finished product until testing's done. If you can look in there, I had to cut some reliefs for them bolts to come in and out easier. And it's all, I reinforced it, and it's definitely stiff. The top belt guide is basically done until testing. I got an 1/8 of an inch all the way around. I had to do some clearancing for these cap screws, but I reinforced it. It's all fully welded. I got my top and bottom bracket here. And if you come in here and look, this is 1/8 inch, that's 1/8 inch, that's a 1/2 inch square tube that I pinched the ends off and welded. But there's about an 1/8 of an inch on each side of that belt. And all the way around this pulley. Come around the back side here. Can you see in here? That's the belt guide, upper and lower, and then it bolts right here to the frame. And it's stiff. It's stiff as a board. That ain't going nowhere. And then next, we're gonna work on the lower guide. What's going on, guys? So we're back in the shop. It's a couple days later, and we left off on the top belt guide, and we're working on the bottom one right now. Give me a second and I'll show you what I'm getting into. This train track looking piece of hardware here is what I made this a few days ago, and I wasn't completely happy with it. But looking at all my other options and everything else that I've bought, like I got this pile of steel right here, all types of different things to choose from, whatnot. Anyway, I'm going back to this, and I got a piece of 5/8 rod stuffed inside of it so it can't move. I got it clamped down to the table. I'm trying to teach it some manners. It actually, you know, putting all these welds on it kind of made it, you know, warp a little bit. But I got it straightened out, got it taken care of. So I'm gonna go with that as my belt guide. I gotta cut it down to size. I gotta do a little fiddling with it. And I might even weld a piece of square tubing to the side of it to give it some added rigidity and to get it closer to the frame so I can weld it and my brackets will be stronger. So anyways, I'll be back shortly with you. I got this thing straightened out. This is gonna be our belt guide for underneath the mower. I welded it out, and it did throw a fit. It arced, it warped a little bit. Nothing old hydraulic press here couldn't fix. So we took the bend back out of it, and I put it on the welding table there, and it's basically straight. I mean, it's got a couple little flaws in it, but nothing that's gonna worry anybody. Come on over here. So this is gonna live right in this spot. It's gonna go between the transmission pulley and the engine pulley. And it's gonna have about an 1/8 of an inch clearance on each side of the belt. Now, what we're gonna do next is we're gonna tack it to this cross member that we filed down yesterday to hold it in place. We're gonna trim some of this off on the end so it's not so close to the pulley either. So because this is gonna be in here permanent, nice and permanent like, and well, temporary permanent, but we want to be able to get the belt out of it. So this side's gonna be open. Now, once it's tacked into place and it's where it needs to be, we'll build brackets off of it that go to the frame, and they'll probably bolt to the frame, not weld, so that if I wanted to get this thing out of here, it's not going to be a pain in the arm, you know what I mean? So let's get back to it, and we will be back soon. Slight change of plans. I'm not going to weld that belt guide straight to that cross member. If you can see there, I filed it out even more to give plenty of clearance because I got to basically fit 1/4 of an inch back in there. So what I'm going to do is focus. It's not going to focus. Maybe there. What I'm going to do is weld this piece of steel in there at the right angle, the same as the belt guide needs to be. That'll give it something to sit on. That'll establish an angle for it, and it'll be great. So, besides that, where are you? There it is. That's the cross member. There's my notch. There's the belt guide. And I'll just bolt it in the rest of the way. That right there. That's the guide. That's the belt guide. So here's what's going on. There's the belt guide. I got it clamped on my belt guide. I got a tab that I welded to it, as you can see there, and that's going over to the frame. I'm going to drill through there and put a bolt, and I'll gusset that, reinforce that tab so it's not just bar stock hanging out. Down here at the bottom, I got a piece of 1/8 inch steel just sitting in there to give me my clearance on the belt on each side. So we're gonna keep making a couple more brackets until it's done. More in a minute. So the next thing we need to do is run a drill bit right in here so we can, a pilot bit. We'll try to measure that right on the center, and then we'll, ouch! Man, that thing's still hot from when I welded it. What are you laughing at?
Dad, what makes you so prone to violence against that engine?
What makes you say a thing like that? Oh, he's a good boy. Oh, he's a good boy. Oh, look at that good boy. Look at that good boy. Yes, he is. Get it, boy. Get that stick, boy. Oh, yes. Here's the last thing I want to do in this video. I got a little bit of CAD going here. Cardboard aided drafting design. All I need is a piece of steel to come off the frame and triangulate the ends of this clutch bracket. I mean, it's pretty dang solid, believe me, but I want to support this end from being able to move this way and that way. It ain't gonna move up and down, it can't do that, but it can go this way and that way, just a touch. So that's what's going on right there. And once I cut this out of some sheet metal, some 14 gauge or whatever I got over there, I'll plug weld it right here on the ends of these brackets. And I'll still always be able to take this apart, take these pillow blocks out of here and all that. And this is just gonna bolt with maybe two or three bolts to the lip of this frame right here, with some 5/16 grade 8 hardware or something like that. Anyway, see you in a minute. Well, that escalated quickly. What started out as a simple piece of sheet metal became this upper control arm looking contraption that's going to fit right here, as you can see. It's going to bolt to the lip of the frame, and it's going to plug weld onto the ends of those pieces of steel that support the pillow block bearings for the 3/4 shaft for the chain for the belt tensioner. There it is, guys and gals. That's my support for the bottom side of that clutch assembly. See if I can get in here at all. Oh boy, I don't know. But I cranked up the heat. Well, these support pieces of steel for the pillow block bearings, they are 1/4 inch. And by the time I got done welding all that bar stock onto that sheet metal and building it up, that's about 1/4 inch also. So I plug welded it at 1/4 inch setting on the welder. And it burned in nice. And when I put my face up through that hole down on the other side of the mower, I can see it's nice and clean. It made a solid bond. It's welded, and then I got 1/4 20s for now. I'm gonna get grade 8, but 3/4 20 bolts on the lip of the frame rail. And that's to prevent any of the shifting, the small movement that it had when I pushed the clutch with tension on the belt. You could just see it barely moving when I pushed it each way. So this is going to prevent any movement down, forward or backwards, parallel to the frame. So I'm gonna put the belt guides back on. They're all painted. Actually, I'm gonna show them to you in a second. I'll be back. Those are the belt guides. Stefan acetoned them down, cleaned them up, and painted them. So this is the lower one, the long straight one, is the lower belt guide. Looking real nice. You can see how I used that bar stock and strapped it so it's, when it's bolted to the frame with 3/8, it's got a hold of the top and the bottom so it can't twist. Same as this side here. You can catch that. So that's the lower belt guide. Obviously that's the upper that goes around the pulley. You can see the relief cuts I had in making it to get those cap screws in and out. No big deal. It's still plenty rigid. And I ran a bead of weld next to the... And I'm horrible with this camera, sorry. I just gave it a little reinforcement. Not that it needs it. Once it's bolted to the engine, this thing's solid. But that's the actual guide right there. That's it. I'm gonna put those back on the mower, get everything mocked up to how it's supposed to be. I'll take one last little look at that with you guys, and we're gonna close it out. Here we go. I got the belt guides bolted back in, mocked up. There you can see that's the engine pulley. That's the lower belt guide. Resting on the cross member for the engine plate. Bolted to the frame. Come down here. And you can't see in there, it's bolted there. I'll have to come the outside. 2 3/8 bolts on the bottom. One on the top. And we will move around the side of the motor here, side of the mower. There is the belt keep for the pulley. Let me take this light. I got a light up here on top. You can see the cap screws in the engine block. There's one more down there. You can see see if I can get some backlight. Well, you can see there's a space around the whole thing. About 1/8 of an inch around the whole pulley. But that is my belt guide setup, guys. My clutch setup. My linkages. My linkage. There's my spring for my tensioner. It's yet to be determined if it's strong enough, but I think it is. I've got a belt tension gauge coming. One of those, I forget, it starts with a K. Anyway, I'm going to try that and see what it's like. A little backlight for you, see if it helps. Give you a little. So here's the pulley, here's the clutch pedal being depressed. That's what it looks like. It's a little tough to do with one hand. Got to build an over travel stop for that. right. Well, let's get this thing closed out. I want to get this video uploaded. I'll see you in a minute. What's up, guys? This is future me coming back in the past. So I filmed this after I ended the video. I'm gonna cut this in before I end it. So this is my tensioner pulley bracket. And one modification I made to it just now was I put this belt keeper on it. I used bolts, I didn't weld it, so I can take it on and off in case it gets damaged or gotta change the belt. Anyway, it changed the location of where my spring hooked onto, so I had to weld this little extension on here, this little ear, and I made 3 new holes for minor adjustments. Now, as you can see, the belt keep is gonna ride right here, and this is also gonna double as a belt brake. I'm gonna have a 90-degree bracket bolted to the frame, and when this comes down to where it's almost at its fullest point of travel, there's going to be another piece of bracket here it's going to interact with. It's going to pinch the belt, so I get a belt brake and a belt keep in one shot, same as the wheel horse setup. Anyway, I'll give you a shot of the belt brake in action once we get it all put back together, and then that'll be it. More in a minute. Here's the belt brake in action. If you get over here and check this out. This piece right here is the belt, where the belt brake is going to come down and pinch the belt between this and the piece, the keeper and the brake on the tensioner pulley arm. So now, back up just a little bit. I'm going to pull the clutch. As you can see, it starts to move. Right now it's slack. I don't need to break the belt with the belt brake. Anyway, it's slack right now. I've got all kinds of slack in this clutch. I could shift, it'll come to a stop, it's not going to turn the transmission. But if I want, I can keep pushing it, and now it's pinched. And also I have it set so where I can set the parking brake and it stays pinched. See here, I can't really move it. And there's all types of slack in the system. See how slack that is? And it's pinched here and it's locked. And then to unlock it, I just use the stock unlocking. There, and now it's back in action. Nice and tight. Anyway, I wanted to include that in this video since I did it. And the next video, we're gonna do some things. I think I'm going to change these, well, I know. I'm going to change these 5/8 bolts that are holding these idler pulleys. There's 2 of them. There's one here and one here. I'm going to change these. I'm going to make those 5/8 pieces of hot rolled or cold rolled or whatever it is, whatever kind of rod it is. It's going to be 5/8 rod. It's going to be flush. It's going to be just below the surface of the frame on the outside. So I'll be able to plug weld it. But before I do that, I'm going to cut triangles, 3 or 4, probably 3 triangles that are going to come as gussets off the base of the 5/8 rod, and they're going to go to the frame. So it'll be like a tripod situation. It'll be stable. And then I'll be able to weld those to the frame, those triangles at the base, and I'll be able to plug weld the end of it. So that way it's not going to have a bolt, it won't have a nut on the outside, and I'll be able to just take the shaft collar off and slide these idler pulleys on and off. And I think that 5/8 rod, with all that gusset and all that strength, that should never bend or should never have an issue. That's yet to be determined. I don't know how much stress this belt's going to actually be under. But I know from watching all the videos that I've seen on YouTube, a lot of these idler pulleys only have 3/8 bolts in them, and this is 5/8 hardware. So I don't foresee any issues, but that's something else I'm going to do probably in the next video. Aside from that, I think I need to add one more belt keeper, and it's going to be right under this idler, because it could potentially come off when it's slack. So I'm going to put one here, and I think that'll be pretty good. I don't think I need any more idlers. I mean any more belt keepers. But I don't want to over-engineer this thing to the point where I haven't even tried it out. So we want to test this thing out, get it up and running eventually, hopefully soon here, and see how this thing performs before we go adding all kinds of keepers and welding crap solid before we know if it's going to work. So that's all I got, and let's continue to the end of the video. Alright guys, I appreciate everyone who's watching to the end. I really would appreciate also comments, like, subscribe. I mean, even if the comment is tell me how bad I suck, I don't care. Let me know if you know anything I don't, if you see something I don't, and stay tuned for the next episode. Hopefully I'll be getting that McCooney carburetor set up for the motor. I need a disc brake set up for the transaxle with a 1-inch keyed rotor. Anyway, there's more to come. I've had a really good time making this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. And not sure how much you're going to be seeing of my little friend here anymore. He's taken a lot of abuse. He's falling apart. I got screws holding his cowling on, and I don't know. I don't think he wants to stalk me too much more because his days are numbered. Alright guys, well anyways, with that, I'll see you later. Say bye, Crusher.
Bye.
Bye.